Victoria Calvin, and I'm here with a really fun Halloween themed layout using the Happy Halloween web cut file by Paige Evans. I'm going to show you how this layout comes together so quickly using fantastic pattern papers, just a little bit of embellishments, but letting that web cut file do all the work. So for this project, I'm using the Monster Mash collection kit by Echo Park. It features a lot of really fun patterns. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of the patterns to back the letters of the cut file. And to make it a little bit easier, I am going to use the solid portions of the letters as a template. And you're going to see how I do this here in a second. In short, I'll just use the solid letters, trace that on the pattern paper, cut it out, and then back the cut file. So here are the pattern papers that come in the collection. Lots of great patterns. And what I'm going to go for are the patterns that are a little bit more subtle. That way they show nicely behind the open spaces of the letter on the cut file. I went ahead and gutted the base of the layout, which is this really beautiful purple pattern paper. I wanted to make sure I preserved some of that design for another project. And then I'm going to layer that with another pattern paper that's trimmed down to 11 by 11 inches. So the base is 12 by 12 inches, and then the green pattern paper is 11 by 11 inches. Now I'm ready to back the cut file, and depending on how intricate the cut file, this process can take a little while. So you definitely, if you're going to do something like this, you want to make sure that you have some time allotted, or maybe just do it in sections if you have a more intricate cut file. So I'm going to go ahead and trace out the first letter, which is an H. And what I did was I flipped the pattern paper over on the side that I'm not going to use, and then trace the letter. I'm going to go ahead and fussy cut that using a pair of detailed scissors. I use these scissors all the time whenever I'm doing some fussy cutting. And while I am doing the fussy cutting, I like to put on some music or get in the holiday spirit. I actually have some fall holiday movies playing in the background, and I just take my time tracing the letters, cutting them out, and then putting them behind the cut file. Now I'm going to test this first before I adhere it because I want to make sure that none of the edges are open. And once I can see that solid image behind the opening of the cut file, I'm going to go ahead and add some liquid glue and then start adhering all of the letters. Now, this entire piece took me probably about 20 minutes to add all of the various letters for the title. And there it is right there. It looks really pretty. So what I want to do is I want to alternate the three colors. Now you can select however many colors that you want to. You can use one color if you want to. It's completely up to you. You can even use specialty paper like glitter or vellum to back your cut file for a little bit of texture. I also use some purple pattern paper to add behind the pumpkin because why not have a purple pumpkin? And also off camera, I added a little bit of pattern paper behind the spider. Now behind each of the letter, I adhered some 3L foam adhesives, and what this is going to do is give the web a little bit of lift, and it's going to make it seem as though the web is floating on the background of the layout, just how webs float like in the corners of our houses. Sometimes we get a little bit of cobwebs and things. That is what I was going for. And so when I lift it up, you can see the beautiful dimension there. It looks like the web is just sort of hanging out there, just kind of floating, and then of course that cute little spider there at the end. I have two photos here. This is of me and my daughter a few years ago, actually. I think she was about 7 years old, and I dressed up as Maleficent, and she is my daughter, Mal. If you are familiar with Disney's Descendants movies, Mal is the descendant or daughter of Maleficent, and so all the characters there are descendants of the villains, Disney villains. And so myself, my spouse, and my daughter all dressed up as villains for Halloween that particular year, and I think that was by far the best Halloween costumes that we had to date. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere those photos, 3 by 4 inch photos there, one at the top left, one at the bottom right. And once the photos are in place, it's time to embellish. I'm going to add this banner that says Hocus Pocus there at the top of the cut file. I'm also going to create 2 clusters. There's going to be one here to the left side of the right photo here at the bottom. So you have a little ghost trick-or-treater with a pumpkin. Then at the top, I'm going to have this little witch trick-or-treater along with this green pumpkin that's filled with candy. The little trick-or-treat pumpkins remind me of the orange pumpkins I used to carry as a kid when I went trick-or-treating. I added a flag that says yikes and a little bat that's kind of floating there with the trick-or-treater. I'm going to add one there at the bottom, and then there's going to be this nice little lollipop here at the top. It kind of looks like a balloon, but it's a little lollipop. And then to finish it all out, I'm going to add some journaling strips that I typed up using Microsoft Word, trim those out on white cardstock, and I added some foam adhesive to the back to give the text a little bit of height so that it kind of pops out from the layout. So I'm going to get that positioned. I need to reposition the back just a little bit to make sure that I have room for the journaling, and it basically talks about my daughter and I dressing up as Maleficent and Mal for Halloween. We had so much fun that year. We went to a Halloween party, we went trick-or-treating, and everybody loved our costumes, so it was really fun. And with that, look how fantastic this layout is. You only need a few simple elements. The cut file with the pattern paper behind the letters just really makes it striking. It stands out. Of course, we have a little bit of dimension, so it makes the web look like it's just floating there on the page. And then adding in some photos, which I did scale down purposely so I can see more of that cut file. And then using just stickers to create two fun little embellishment clusters. It all works so well together for this really fun and festive Halloween layout. And as always, thanks so much for stopping by, and be sure to check out the Happy Halloween web cut file to use for your next Halloween project.